These 10 stadiums aren't just places to watch football, they're once-in-a-lifetime experiences. From the chaos of La Bombonera to the goosebumps under the lights at Anfield, these arenas deliver raw passion, history, and unforgettable moments. But one of them made this list, even though no top-flight club plays there. Why? You'll find out at the end. This is the ultimate stadium bucket list. How many have you crossed off? Let's start with the one that needs no introduction but deserves every word of praise it gets. Camp Nou in Barcelona. When you first see it, your brain struggles to process the sheer scale of this place. 99,000 seats rising up like a concrete mountain range around the pitch. But here's what the photos never capture. The atmosphere when Barcelona scores. The entire stadium erupts in a way that feels almost dangerous, like the structure itself might collapse from the pure energy. Walking through the museum before the match, you'll see 6 European Cup trophies gleaming under the lights. And you realize this isn't just a stadium, it's a monument to footballing excellence that spans generations. The corridor leading to the pitch, where players touch the ball embedded in the wall for good luck, gives you chills even as a spectator. And when you're sitting there watching Barca weave their passing patterns across that immaculate surface, you understand why they call this place more than a club. Then there's Old Trafford, the theater of dreams. Manchester United's fortress sits in the middle of an industrial landscape, and somehow that makes it even more special. 74,000 fans pack into this red brick cathedral every other weekend, and the weight of history is almost suffocating. You can feel the ghosts of Best, Charlton, and Cantona watching from the rafters. The Munich clock ticking away at the south end reminds everyone that this club, this stadium, was built on sacrifice and resilience. When you stand in the Stretford end and hear the crowd belt out "Glory, Glory, Man United," you're not just watching football. You're part of something that's been building for over a century. The museum tour takes you through treble-winning jerseys and championship medals that seem to go on forever. But the real magic happens on match day when the entire structure vibrates with noise and passion. Now, let's fly south to Madrid, where the Santiago Bernabeu stands like a spaceship that landed in the heart of the Spanish capital. Real Madrid recently completed a mind-blowing renovation that cost over €1 billion. And when you walk inside now, it feels like you've stepped into the future of stadium design. The retractable roof, the 360-degree video screen that wraps around the entire stadium, the way light floods through the modern facade. 81,000 people can witness history here, and history is exactly what Real Madrid delivers. 15 European Cups line the trophy room. 15. Let that sink in. The Stadium Museum showcases every Ballon d'Or winner who wore the famous white shirt, and you realize the sheer magnitude of greatness that's graced this pitch. On match day, when the crowd whistles and jeers at the slightest misplaced pass, you experience the demanding nature of Madrid's fans. They expect perfection because they've seen it so many times before. Anfield in Liverpool might not be the biggest or the most modern, but it might just be the loudest and most intimidating. 53,000 Scousers packed into a stadium that feels like it's about to burst at the seams. The Cop End is legendary for a reason. When "You'll Never Walk Alone" echoes around the ground before kickoff, grown men cry. Seriously, it's not just a song, it's a promise, a threat to visiting teams, a reminder that this place has seen Liverpool win it all 6 times in Europe. The newer main stand towers over the old houses that surround the stadium, creating this bizarre contrast between the modern game and working-class roots. Walking down Anfield Road towards the ground on match day, you're surrounded by fans who've been making this pilgrimage their entire lives, whose grandfathers made the same walk, whose grandchildren will too. Stick around until the end to see which stadium has a feature so unique that it literally stops games when it's deployed, and discover the only arena on this list that floats on water. Signal Iduna Park in Dortmund takes stadium atmosphere to a level that borders on insanity. 81,000 fans, including the famous Yellow Wall, the Südtribüne, 25,000 standing supporters packed into one massive terrace that bounces, literally bounces, when Dortmund scores. The noise level reaches over 100 decibels. That's as loud as a chainsaw or a thunderclap. When the entire stadium sings "You'll Never Walk Alone," yes, they sing it here too. It's a different beast than Anfield. Louder, rawer, more desperate somehow. The black and yellow smoke bombs, the massive flags that cover entire sections, the coordinated chanting that makes the ground shake beneath your feet. German football culture is special, and this is where you experience it in its purest, most concentrated form. San Siro in Milan is romance in concrete form. Two clubs, AC Milan and Inter, sharing one magnificent stadium. 75,000 seats stacked at impossibly steep angles, getting you so close to the action you can hear players shouting at each other. The red girders on the outside look like something from an industrial art installation. Inside, the history seeps from every corner. This stadium has hosted World Cup finals, Champions League finals, and some of the greatest club football ever played. The walk up the spiral ramps to reach your seat builds anticipation with every step. The San Siro roar when Milan or Inter scores is primal and fierce. The away section tucked high in the third tier gives visitors vertigo and a genuine sense of danger. Italian football might not dominate like it once did, but in this stadium, you can still feel the echoes of when Serie A was the greatest league on earth. Wembley Stadium in London is the modern English football experience perfected. 90,000 seats under that iconic arch that lights up the London skyline. This is where England plays its biggest matches, where cup finals are decided, where Champions League history gets written. The new Wembley, rebuilt in 2007, doesn't have the history of the old one, but it makes up for it with sheer spectacle. The Royal Box, where the royal family and dignitaries sit watching. The long walk up the steps to lift a trophy that every English footballer dreams about from childhood. The pitch is immaculate, the facilities are world-class, and when the crowd sings Sweet Caroline or God Save the King, 90,000 voices create a wall of sound that gives you physical chills. Maracanã in Rio de Janeiro represents something different entirely. This is South American football passion distilled into one enormous bowl. 78,000 people, but it once held over 200,000 for the 1950 World Cup final. Walking through the corridors, you see black and white photos of Pelé, Garrincha, Zico, Brazilian legends who made this place holy ground. The stadium sits in the middle of a favela-dotted landscape, mountains rising behind it, Christ the Redeemer watching from above. When you attend a Flamengo match here, you don't just watch football, you experience a carnival. Drums, fireworks, constant singing, flags the size of buildings. The Brazilians don't just support their team, they perform for them. Allianz Arena in Munich glows red or blue depending on who's playing. Bayern Munich's home can light up in 16 million different colors thanks to its inflated ETFE plastic panels covering the exterior. It's a technological marvel holding 75,000 fans. Inside, the stadium is steep and intimate despite its size. The atmosphere when Bayern is winning feels like a celebration. When they're losing, like a funeral. The German efficiency shows in every detail. Perfect sightlines, excellent facilities, punctual kickoff times. The museum showcases Bayern's ridiculous trophy collection, dominating German football for decades with a methodical precision that feels very German indeed. Finally, we reach the most unique stadium on this list. The float at Marina Bay in Singapore. Yes, it actually floats. The world's largest floating stage sits on the water. And while it's not a permanent football stadium, it has hosted matches with temporary seating for 30,000 fans. Picture this, watching football with the Singapore skyline as your backdrop, the pitch literally floating on Marina Bay. Boats passing in the distance. It's surreal, spectacular, and completely unlike any other football experience on Earth. The stadium represents how football has become a global game, reaching places and creating experiences that would have seemed impossible 50 years ago. If you made it to the end of the video, tell us in the comments which of these stadiums you already crossed off. If you enjoyed the video, click here to explore which is the best stadium in the Premier League 2025/26. See you there in a second.